I'm Sohrab Haghihat. I am founder and CEO of SpaceRyde. SpaceRyde is building a network of rockets to offer on-demand transportation from the Earth to the Moon and anywhere in between. So when we look at the launches that we have had in 2021 and up until now, half of the year is gone, there are three things that stand out when I look at them: availability, affordability, and frequency of the launch. People may argue that this year SpaceX is going to have record number of launches, probably about 50 launches. But if you look at the details of Falcon 9 launches, you can see that majority of them are dedicated to their own payload, are dedicated to Starlink, are dedicated to government payload that is basically the primary payload and no other payload. And only a handful of launches are something that small satellites can benefit from. On top of that, these launches that are offered by SpaceX and other rideshare platforms remove the capability of managing the mission, have full control of the mission from the customer, because the customer has to go to the orbit that it is advertised, has to launch on the date that it is advertised. And it means that you have pretty much zero control over the mission. You might be able to engage with now tertiary parties that, for example, offer in-space transportation to have some control over your final destination, final orbit, but still the date that it is going to be launched, it is dictated by the launch provider. And that can affect your mission, because what if the month before or 2 months before you run into a software issue? You either have to hack it and risk having a payload that is going to malfunction in space, or you have to just scrap that mission and pay the fees of how much more you have to cancel and then postpone the mission to a later time. So all in all, it means that availability, meaning that you want to do a launch, you want to have full control over it, you want to do it when you want it, is not there. Also, if we want to have such a launch, there are options that, for example, one can go and book an Electron launch, or one can book a launch with Launcher One, but they need to pay hefty fees to have full control over the mission. They need to pay hefty fees to be the primary payload of that rocket. And lastly, the frequency at which these launches happen is not what it is going to push the industry forward. Combine all these things is the definition of an on-demand service. So for me, it's basically after almost 2 years of everything being remote and virtual, this is the first conference in Europe that I'm attending in person. So getting to meet many of our customers that we have been working with remotely and virtually in person. All of these things that I mentioned about the trend that I believe the industry is moving towards, have validation and see if there are new trends that are emerging, and I can see that and see how our platform can support the new trend, and always being in the know about what are the new things that might happen. So as we are finishing one product and moving on to developing newer product for access to space, have the needs and requirements of the industry in mind. So we build something that is needed, not something that we think it's cool.